Many today do not question their beliefs or where they come from, and that's because they don't know their history. Today we're going to go on an epic adventure through the history of cosmology to see what it has to tell us about the occult origins of heliocentrism. Welcome to the Heliocentric Conspiracy. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you happen to be. Get your seatbelt, get some popcorn, because today is going to be a very powerful and very enlightening and edifying episode. Of course, I can't even really call it an episode. It's going to be practically a mini-series, because we're going to go on an epic adventure through history to really put together the pieces of the enemy's work throughout the last 2,500 years or so and realize the conspiracy behind cosmology and modern science and modern cosmological beliefs. So welcome to the Heliocentric Conspiracy. This episode is going to be part of the cosmology series, but really it's going to be kind of a standalone thing as well, so I hope you really enjoy it. We've covered many important things in the series, so make sure if you have not seen the series that this is part of. This is actually episode number 5 in that series. But nevertheless, again, it's kind of a standalone thing. But if you have not watched the series, make sure you go and watch that, because it gives you a lot of context up until today. Today we'll be doing a very deep and detailed dive into that context. But it's also very important that you go watch those previous episodes, like what the Bible says about cosmology, ancient cosmologies, why cosmology matters, and of course the fatal error of Eratosthenes, which all of these will be playing into today's episode as well. Either way, if you're a veteran or a noob little fox at this topic, you will learn quite a lot today. And that's my goal. And when I say conspiracy, I really mean it. I really, truly mean conspiracy. And hopefully today you will see that this conspiracy is thousands of years old. For those who are skeptical, I encourage you to consider all of the evidence that I'm going to present today and consider it with an open mind. For those who are experienced on this topic, today will edify you even more in your own battles, in your own conversations, in your own defenses of what you believe. And of course, it'll also set up the next episode, which is very, very important. So make sure you tune in for that one. It's going to be 15 problems with the circular flat Earth model. So today and next time are going to work together to really paint the picture of a marvelous mystery, which is biblical cosmology. This is not a completely exhaustive episode on everything, every absolute evil thing that the enemy has done in terms of science and cosmology. Absolutely not. You could probably spend an entire channel every single week talking about these things and never be done. But it will be very, very comprehensive. My goal, again, is to show you through history, to put together the pieces, the unbroken chain of the heliocentric conspiracy, and how it is not divorceable from the occult. And you will see that today, I promise you, if you have an open mind. Of course, the evidence speaks for itself, but either way, the open mind is an important ingredient. There are many people that all they do is they focus on cosmology. That's not me, that's not this channel. My goal is to give you a one and done situation with this series, to give you the truth, and then you can go do more research if you want to. But this series is going to be extremely comprehensive and also very unique. The viewpoints that I'm presenting here today are probably other people have talked about these things. Probably some of them know because this is going to be very detailed, but most of these things probably you can find on the internet or find other people talking about them. However, the next episode where we talk about the problems with the circular flat earth model and the flat earth movement, not too many people are talking about. So that's going to be a very interesting episode as well. And altogether this series, my goal is just to give you a one and done, one-stop shop place to really get everything that you need. And again, if you want to dive more into this topic, that's really for you to do. This is just a resource and to basically arm you to the teeth and sufficiently in your own arguments to give you the truth and to help you help others come out of delusion. Now, it's very important as a preface to all of this that I am not against science. I love science, actually. Science is one of my favorite topics. I love being scientific. However, science has been corrupted by the enemy, folks. And this is something to come to terms with. Wherever you land on this topic today, before we get started, you need to realize that science is not immune from the devil's schemes. And the secular world, and even the Christian world today, people believe that science is this objective beacon of truth that is immune from the devil's corruption. And today you will learn that that is not the case. Hopefully you've already learned that. Hopefully you know about things like the Flexner Report before the health industry got started and taken over by J.P. Morgan and Rockefeller in the 1900s, how they discredited every naturopathic and other type of institute in order to establish their own curriculum and their own health thing, their own health world, where 150 years later now, almost 120 years later, the health industry is owned by Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan, and they dictate what people learn and what they do. Of course, we know that because, Rockefeller discovered that you can make, patent medicine from petrochemicals, and the rest, as they say, is history. So that's a long time coming. Of course, the jib jabs, if you know about those and the history of those, the Keyes study in the 50s to the 70s. Ansel Keyes, he basically he was the chief of the American Heart Surgery Association, and basically falsified a study on fats and saturated fat. And for literally decades, people listened to his advice. And as a result, people are even more sick now because they've got on this low-fat diet and all this low-fat stuff and high sugar and so on and so forth. 2020 should have proven to you that health is already corrupt, very corrupt. Look at the Lancet study that happened with the whole COVID thing, where they retracted the study. It was so embarrassing. The Lancet is like, the epitome of the authority, the medical authority in the modern day, and they had to retract that study. So health and science are not immune from the devil's schemes. When the Bible calls the devil the god of this world, there's a reason why he's called that. It is because God has allowed him to take control of the entire world, especially before Jesus returns. So if you are awake on the end times, then it should be no problem for you to accept the reality that everything, including science, has been corrupted by the devil. So what does that mean then? That means that maybe what you've been told in scientific places, like cosmology, like the origin of the universe and how it happened, maybe that's a lie too, just like all this other health stuff that I talked about. So very, very important, because as Christians, we should embrace science and scientific thinking. In fact, there are many Christian scientists, and even when you study the Bible, if you watch my How to Be a Berean video, it's about being scientific in your research. You should be scientific. You should test a hypothesis. You should gather the evidence on both sides. You should be very scientific. So science is a gift from God, and we should be scientific in our thinking. Of course, when you're scientific, it makes you realize that you've been lied to by science. And that's really the point of today. God created science and the laws of physics and chemistry and the universe to reveal his glory and his genius. And science, as a practice, as a gift from God, as an ability to use the analytical brain that we've been given, science is there to reveal the glory of God. But because the enemy has hijacked science, science has become a vehicle to reveal the glory of man, to hide God in the process, and to ultimately bring you to a new world order, which you will realize today as well, because all roads lead to Rome. I believe biblical cosmology because of the science. That is the most scientific thing that you can believe. The heliocentric model is a spiritual belief system. It is not based on science, and I intend to prove that to you today. And today we're going to go on a very specific journey to examine the scientific history of heliocentrism. We're not going to look so much at scientific proofs, because again, those other previous episodes I mentioned in this series, we look at that. Not everything, because again, this topic is something you could spend forever and ever and ever and on. And it's not about finding all of the answers. It's about marveling at God. And hopefully the next episode, 15 Problems with the Circular Flat Earth Model, will prove that to you as well. That there are things you cannot answer that will remain a mystery on this side of eternity. And that's by design, because you're not supposed to know everything. You're supposed to marvel at God. And of course, science today has tried to put itself as the authority, as the Antichrist between you and Christ, in the sense of, look at me, marvel at me, marvel at Neil deGrasse Tyson, marvel at Carl Sagan, marvel at all these sorcerers weaving their magical spells for you. Marvel at them, don't marvel at God. They're explaining to you how it works. See, it works like this. Just look at this little CGI thing and, oh, wow, it's so great, and it works like this, and it works like that. And in the process, they redirect your consciousness, your attention, your marveling away from God and to themselves and their own system. So today is going to be a focus on history, because you have to understand where this belief comes from and how it originates from Satan, from the mystery religion, and how it's been actualized in the modern day through the false prophet, which is the United States. Most people don't understand their history, let alone the elaborate schemes of the devil over the last 2,500 years to change cosmology. They don't realize the influence of the occult, the secret societies, on all things, folks. Really, you will marvel, like John marveled when he saw a vision of mystery Babylon. He marveled greatly because of this great evil. And you will marvel today. You will marvel at the evil and how well coordinated it is, and how consistent and how persistent it is throughout history to try to claim the world for itself. It's really, truly profound. Very, very profound. But most people don't realize, as a result of these secret societies and various occult forces and the enemy carefully weaving all these things into, of course, the final deception, that heliocentrism is not a scientific belief system. It is dressed up in science and math, but there's nothing scientific about it. And if you can come to terms with that, you will be free of the many spells that come along with it, like sci-fi, like, climate change, and all of these, wonders and signs and false miracles and delusions. Today, I'm going to prove to you that the heliocentric system is an ancient spiritual belief system. It's not based on science whatsoever. And of course, this is a big rabbit hole. But today we're going to go down it. We're going to go down it with courage and persistence and thoroughness. And we'll come out on the other side with some very, very interesting realizations. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Share this with friends. Make sure you comment. Leave your thoughts and see what you think. And watch the whole thing. Don't comment after watching just 20 minutes. Even though you may be inspired to comment something positive, go ahead and do that. But a lot of people seem to come to these things and comment, after the first 10 minutes, they see something they don't agree with, and they leave a comment that later they answer themselves. So make sure you watch before you comment to help others learn as well, so that when they read your comments, their interest is piqued and they're not discouraged. This episode is probably going to be in several parts with the timestamps. I'm not going to post it in parts because, again, it's part of a series, but it will have timestamps, so you can go through them on your own. Of course, on YouTube, it's a little easier to do that. And the references, of course, will be posted along with the references of the cosmology series. Remember a few important points before we begin. Revelation 13:2 tells you that the dragon, Satan, gave his authority, his throne, and great power to who? The Catholic Church. Now, that's very significant, because that means that during the church age, which is what John's visions in Revelation have to deal with, the church age, meaning the period of time between Jesus' first advent and his second advent, that period of time is called the church age, where the church is the central part of the story, and Christ is in heaven ruling while his enemies are being put under his feet. So that period of time, Satan has been thrown down to earth. He's bound in the sense that he can't prevent God's plan of the gospel and all of these things being fulfilled in prophecy. And he has been allowed also to deceive the world ultimately into a new world order that pays him worship right before Jesus returns to destroy it. He's been allowed to do that. So the church age is a very active period of history. And to help you focus so that you don't get lost in all of the weeds of the devil, the Bible tells you in one line exactly what you need to know. That the devil in this church age focused all of his power and authority and throne in one place, one organization, and that is the Catholic Church. That means that the mystery religion of the ages, Mystery Babylon, from Nimrod and that whole system that continued all the pre-flood religion, the evil religion of the ages, that whole system, the mystery religion of the ages, is going to be actualized in the Catholic Church, in the Catholic system, the Catholic ideal in the church age. It's going to manifest physically as a new world religio-political order, just like it was before the flood, and just like it was through all of these pagan empires, with a man on the throne that controlled both religion and politics. That's going to happen worldwide, and that's going to happen through the Catholic system. Now, if that's news to you, and that's a surprise and a shock, then watch my End Time series, my Great Delusion series, watch my various playlists like Christian Nationalism, Dark Delight, so on and so forth. You'll be very edified by those things. But nevertheless, the Bible tells you straight up who you need to focus on. Now, that's very important because you're going to see all of these threads from paganism, from ancient cultures, all together weave into the Catholic Church over history and over time, where, of course, it confirms the Bible, because the Catholic Church is the locus, the foci, the center of satanic activity in the church age. Now, again, if that sounds crazy, watch my videos and playlists that I mentioned. Today, you're going to see these threads come together from all around the world and all around history into the Catholic system, because people believe Catholic cosmology if you believe in heliocentrism. You don't realize that. You think it's this objectively true, scientifically deduced idea, but it's not. It's Catholic, and really it's mystery religion. But of course, again, in the church age, that mystery religion is Catholicism. Remember episode number 3, where we have over 18 examples of advanced ancient cultures that knew what the cosmology of the earth was. These cultures created megaliths and things that we could not produce today. They were able to time eclipses and celestial events with great accuracy, like the Mayan calendar. And yet their views of the earth were very different. So what does that tell you? It tells you something very interesting. Today we're going to look at about 2,500 to 3,000 years of history so that you can see how busy the enemy has been to consolidate his power in the church age with all of the mystery threads and false delusions and lies and false signs and wonders throughout the world, and condense them into one place, which of course is the Catholic system. And also how that conspiracy is shaping through the false prophet, which is the United States, to ultimately serve the beast. So again, welcome to the heliocentric conspiracy. Onward to part 1, Ancient Times.